Good morning, everyone. So let me share my screen. So in yesterday's class, we'll see what is manual testing. So manual testing is a type of software testing an application by human interaction is nothing but manual testing. So the alternate name of manual testing is functional testing. So advantages, more flexibility. Flexibility means easy to change or easy to adopt to the test cases as well as complex test scenarios. And more focus on complex problems because we are humans. So we have some logics and emotions, but tools doesn't have, right? So that's why we need to focus more on the defects. And then programming knowledge is not required in manual testing and easy to set up. Environment setup will be very easy compared to automation testing because in manual testing, no need to write any code, no need to install any software, and no need to install any tools. So that's why environment setup will be very easy in manual testing compared to automation testing. So compared to automation testing. So manual testing types, we have three types of manual testing are there: white box testing, black box testing, gray box testing. So differences between white box and black box testing, very, very important question in the interview. So let's see what the difference between white box and black box testing. So white box testing. So white box testing is also called as structural testing. White box testing is also called as structural testing or glass box testing. Glass box testing. So white box testing is also called as structural testing or glass box testing. Black box testing. So we are black box test engineers now. So black box testing is also called as functional testing or behavioral testing. Behavioral testing. So white box testing is also called as structural testing or glass box testing. Black box testing is also called as a functional testing or behavioral testing. So white box testing. So white box testing. White box testing can be performed by developers. So white box testing is done by developers now. It can be performed by the developers. But black box test engineering or black box testing can be performed by testers or test engineers. So white box testing can be performed by the developers. Black box testing can be performed by the test engineers or testers. So white box testing. White box testing is conducted on source code. White box testing is conducted on source code because they will know the coding knowledge. Black box test engineers doesn't know the coding knowledge. So white box test engineers will know to the internal structure. They will know the code because they are developers. But black box test engineers, black box testing is conducted on user interface testing. Is conducted on user interface testing. User interface testing. So user interface testing means, so we need to check here whether the links are working properly or not. Check boxes are working properly or not. Buttons are working properly or not. Drop downs are working properly or not. So each and every web element, whatever we have to, it will be visible to you in the user interface. Whether all parts should be working or not, we need to verified. Simple user interface means is nothing but all visual parts of the software application should be working properly or not at the time of using the application by users. It is nothing but user interface testing. And then white box test engine is well known to the internal structure and coding. So white box test engineers will know to the internal structure and coding. Internal structure and coding. Black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. So black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. So white box test engineers will known to the internal structure and coding because they are developers. They will know the structure. Structure is nothing but coding internally what they will design more. So white box test engineers will know to the internal structure and coding, but black box test engineers doesn't know the internal structure and coding. So based on which concepts are based on which thing we need to, the developers will develop the application means here. So the white box testing, the testing is based on white box testing. White box testing. The testing is based on the testing is based on the looping statements. Looping statements, some concepts of Java more. Looping statements, and then now we have like conditional statements. Conditional statements, data flow testing, path coverage, branch coverage, and LCSAJ. LCSAJ means linear code sequence and jump. Linear code sequence and jump. Nothing but jumping statements. So listen carefully here. So based on which concepts we need to develop this, like we need to write the code here means the white box testing. The testing is based on the looping statements. How we can write the code means by using some concepts of Java, we need to write the code. The developer will write the code here now. So using looping statements. So looping statements means like for loop, while loop, do while loop, for each loop, right? Enhanced for loop, conditional statements like if condition, if else condition, if else if condition, and nested if conditions. And then switch statements as well. And then variables concept, data types like jumping statements like break, continue, return. By using some concepts of Java, the developers will develop the application. So based on these concepts only, the developer will develop the application. So white box test engineers, based on which we need to develop or we need to test the application is here. Black box testing. The testing is based on the customer requirement. Listen carefully, ma. Testing is based on the customer requirement and functionality coverage. Functionality coverage. So based on as a test engineer, as a black box test engineer. So we are all black box test engineers, or we can call it as a functional test engineer. So that's why black box testing is also called as functional testing. So black box test engineers are functional test engineers. What we as a black box test engineer we need to how we can test the application means based on the customer requirement. So each and every requirement will be provided by the client only. So each and every requirement will be provided by the client. So either it may be a link, or it may be a text box, or it may be a drop down, or it may be a checkbox, or it may be like screens, menus, dialog boxes, anything, anything in the application. So based on the customer requirement and based on the functionality of the application, so we need to test the application. So wait 1 minute, guys. So black box testing is based on the customer requirement and functionality coverage. Based on the client requirement or based on the customer requirement, so the application we need to test it. And whether the all functionalities should be covered or not, we need to test. So white box test engineers will verify the structure, internal structure and coding. Black box test engineers is based on the customer requirement and functionality coverage. Based on the customer requirement, whether it is working properly or not. And we need to cover all the functionality of the web application or not. So it is nothing but black box testing. So white box testing, listen carefully here. Example for white box testing is unit testing and integration testing. Unit testing and integration testing belongs to white box testing. White box testing. Unit testing and integration testing belongs to white box testing. Apart from unit testing and integration testing, apart from unit testing the remaining testing types, belongs to black box testing. Black box testing. So what here? So white box testing is also called as structural testing or glass box testing. Black box testing is also called as a functional testing or behavioral testing because the developers will know the internal structure and coding. So black box testing, why we can call it as a functional testing or behavioral testing? So you can take any application. For example, I'm opening here Flipkart application. So we are functional test engineer. As a functional test engineer, what you need to do, already we know that. So we need to check whether the application is working properly or not as per the client requirement. So whether the Flipkart logo is working properly or not, whether the search bar is working properly or not, whether the links are working properly or not, whether the checkboxes are working properly or not, whether the buttons are working properly or not, links are working properly or not. Each and every web element in the application should be working properly or not. We need to verify as a functional test engineer or behavioral testing. We can call it as a behavioral testing. Behavioral testing means based on the user action. So based on my action, the application is behaving correctly or not. It is nothing but behavioral testing. So black box testing is also called as functional testing or behavioral testing. So white box testing is conducted on the source code and it is done by the developer. Who will perform this white box testing? White box testing can be performed by developers. Black box testing can be performed by testers or test engineers. So white box testing is conducted on the source code. Black box testing is conducted on user interface testing. Why the white box test engineers is conducted on source code, coding knowledge, because the developers will know the coding knowledge. So that's why they will be conducting on coding. They will write the code. But as a black box test engineer, so we need to perform the user interface testing. So user interface testing is nothing but all visual parts of the application should be working properly or not at the time of using the application by user. So how easy and user friendly a software application is? It is nothing but user interface testing. So user interface testing, so it comes like links, buttons, text boxes, drop downs, menus, screens, scroll downs, everything will comes under here. the black box testing. So white box test engineers will known to the internal structure and coding because they are developer. They will know the internal structure and coding. But black box test engineers doesn't know the internal structure and coding because black box test engineers doesn't have that much knowledge about to write the code. So that's why black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. So black box test engineers will doesn't know. They didn't know the internal structure and coding. So white box testing, the testing is based on the concepts of looping statements, jumping statements, conditional statements, data flow testing, path coverage, and branch coverage as well. So these are all concepts of Java. Based on these concepts only, the white box test engineers will develop the application. They will write the code based on these concepts only. And then black box testing based on the customer requirement and whether all functionality should be covered or not, we need to test. So unit testing and integration testing belongs to white box testing. Apart from unit testing, the remaining testing types belongs to black box testing. So the remaining testing types means here, so like retesting, regression testing, smoke testing, sanity testing, other testing, exploratory testing, right, peer-to-peer testing, right, buddy testing, pair testing, okay, and then we have like exhaustive testing, okay, and then usability testing, user interface testing, functional testing. So these are all comes under black box testing. So any queries, ma? So apart from unit testing, the remaining testing types belongs to black box testing. So like smoke testing, sanity testing, retesting, regression testing, system level testing, user acceptance testing, all these types of testings we'll see in the further sessions. Okay. So as of now, apart from unit testing, the remaining testing types belongs to black box testing. Okay. So what is unit testing? So listen carefully. What is unit testing? So unit testing is nothing but unit. Unit means individual. Individual. Like listen carefully. Testing an application. Testing an application with individual modules. Testing an application with individual modules. With individual modules or individual components or individual units, then we can call it as unit testing. So testing an application with individual modules or individual components or individual units, then we can call it as an unit testing. So how we can test here? For example, in this word, we have so many modules are there. Like file is one module, home is one module, insert is one module, or we can call it as a feature. Ink is one feature. So many modules are available in this word. So we need to test here each and every module individually. So whether the file is working properly or not. So if you click on the file, inside all the submodules should be working properly or not, we need to verify individually. Then home. So home is working properly or not. Insert is working properly or not. So we need to test the application whether all modules or all features of the application should be working properly or not. So individually you can test any application or any modules, then we can call it as a unit testing. So integration means combining. Integration testing. So integration testing means testing an application by combining those individual modules into groups. Those individual modules into groups and test the data flow between and test the data flow between each and every module. Each and every module. Then it is called integration testing. So integration means a combining. So combining those individual modules and test the data flow between each and every module. Then it is called an integration testing. So individually we can test each and every module is working properly or not. So it is working absolutely fine. But if you want to combine those individual modules into group mark and test the data flow between one module to another module and one module to another module, and we need to check the data flow between each and every module, then it is nothing but integration testing. So individually we can test the application, it is working fine. If you combine those individual modules and test, then what is the data? So that is nothing but integration testing. So unit testing and integration testing belongs to white box testing. So white box testing is done by developers on source code. Black box testing is done by test engineers on interface testing. We have to remember these 2 points. So white box test engineers will known to the internal structure and coding. Black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. So based on some concepts of Java, the white box test engineers will develop the application, and based on the customer requirement and functionality coverage, the black box test engineers will perform the testing on web applications. So apart from unit testing and integration testing, the remaining testing types belongs to black box testing. Okay, so those remaining testing types like integration testing, user acceptance testing, smoke testing, sanity testing, retesting, regression testing, usability testing, user interface testing, performance testing, different types of testings we have. All those testing types we need to see in the further sessions. So, and the third one is gray box testing. Gray box testing. Listen carefully. Gray box testing is a combination of gray box testing is a combination of white box testing and black box testing. White box testing and black box testing. It is a combination of white box testing and black box testing. So, what white box test engineers will know? They will know the internal structure and coding. So, white box test engineers will know to the internal structure and coding. Internal structure and coding. Black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. Internal structure coding. But gray box test engineers. So gray box test engineers will partially known to the internal structure, partially known to the internal structure, as well as partially known to the internal structure and designing the test cases and algorithms as well. Designing the test cases and algorithms. Okay, so gray box testing is a combination of white box testing and black box testing. So white box test engineers will known to the internal structure and coding. Black box test engineers will unknown to the internal structure and coding. But gray box test engineers will know, partially known to the internal structure as well as designing the test cases and algorithms. They will know the both knowledge of development as well as testing. So gray box test engineers will known to the internal structure as well as designing the test cases and algorithms. So these are the 3 types of testings we have in manual. So white box testing, black box testing, and gray box testing. and gray box testing. Simple example for white box and black box testing. For example, like in white box testing, so you can take one car now. So how we can test? White box test engineers will do testing on the car means just you open the car's engine and check how each part like gear, engine, wires, everything inside. Everything should be working properly or not inside the car. So we need to check. But black box test engineers, just we need to drive the car and check if everything is working properly or not. Because we are test engineers, we don't know the internal logic. So the internal logic is tested by the white box test engineers. So that's why they will check how each part like work inside in the car, like gears, engines, wires, everything should be working properly or not. They will verify. But as a black box test engineer, just we need to see the external structure. Simple external. So external means so just we need to check here how the car will be working. So just you should drive the car now. Okay, and check if everything is working properly or not. It is nothing but black box testing their responsibility. So software types are three types: system software, programming software, and application software. Software testing types will be two types: manual testing, automation testing. Manual testing types will be three types: white box testing, black box testing, and gray box testing. So don't confuse here. Software types is different. Software testing types is different. Manual testing types is different. Okay. So this is our topic one, introduction to manual testing. So introduction to software testing. See. So what we discussed in the topic one. So like what is software? So what is program? Like what is instructions and what is command? Types of software, system software, right ma? And then programming software and then application software. Software testing types, manual testing, automation testing, and some terminologies also we see, right ma, in previous classes. So in case if you are not attending the class, just to go through those recording videos. In case if you have any queries in the recording videos, so you can reach out me on tomorrow session. Okay. So software types will be system software, programming software, and application software. Software testing types will be manual testing, automation testing. Manual testing types will be white box testing, black box testing, and gray box testing. So these are the testing types we have. So then let's see the topic 2. Very easy concept. Let's listen carefully. Topic 2. So topic 2 is software testing jobs. Software testing jobs. So how many jobs are available in the market in software testing? That is our concept here. So mainly we have 5 types of jobs are available in the market. 5 types of jobs are available in the market. They are functional test engineer, then performance test engineer, then security test engineer, then database test engineer, then ETL test engineer. So ETL stands for extract transfer load test. Extract transfer load. So these are the 5 types of jobs are available in the market mainly. So software testing jobs are functional test engineer, performance test engineer, security test engineer, Database test engineer, ETL test engineer, extract transfer load test engineer. Our job and our course is functional test engineer, ma. So it is our course, functional test engineer. Okay. So let's see what the functional test engineer will do. So as a functional test engineer, yeah, I will explain you. So functional test engineer. So roles is different, ma, job is different. Okay. So functional role is different, job is different. Let us. So functional test engineer. So checking whether the application, checking whether the application or software features are working properly or not. Working properly or not. It is nothing but functional test engineer responsibility. As a functional test engineer, we need to check whether the application or software or product features are working properly or not. So features in the sense here, either it may be a link or it may be like a text box or it may be like a drop down. So, or it may be like a check boxes, radio buttons, and then like scroll downs, links, etc. like screens, menus, etc. So whether all features of the application should be working properly or not. So that is the responsibility of functional test engineer here. So as a functional test engineer, we need to check whether the application or software or product features are working properly or not. So links are working properly or not. Text boxes are working properly or not. Drop downs are working properly or not. Check boxes, radio buttons, scroll downs, like menus, screens, logos, everything, every web element in the application should be working properly or not. We need to verify. So every web element in the web application. So web element in the sense anything in the web page or web application. We can call it as a web element. So that is the responsibility of functional test engineer. Performance test engineer. So performance test engineer will verify. What performance test engineer will check? Checking whether the application or software. So checking whether the application or software is working fast and handles many users. Handles many users or so just simple, it will check the system response time. Response time. So performance test engineer. So we need to check here the application performance. It should comes under like load testing, stress testing, and volume testing. For example, gradually increasing the users of the application and testing its performance, then it is nothing but load testing. So, for example, so the application, so you can take like 10th class results or intermediate result. So most of the people will log in. So many people will log into the application at the same time to get the result. Right? So at the time, what the application performance? So gradually increasing the users of the application and testing its performance. Then it is nothing but load testing. Stress testing. So gradually or a sudden increase or a sudden decrease the users of the application and testing its performance. Then it is nothing but stress testing. So for example, you can take the Big Billion Days in the Flipkart application. For example, the sale starts today midnight 12 a.m. to tomorrow 12 a.m. So at sale start time, gradually or a sudden increase the users of the application, sale end a sudden decrease the users of the application and testing its performance. Then it is nothing but stress test. Okay, so we need to check how the application, the performance of the application, whether it is in slow or whether it is in high or any problem or any issues we have. Okay, so what is the response for the application? So we need to check here the system response time. Then security test engineer. So what security test engineer will do? So security test engineer will verify, checking whether the application or software is secure or safe from the hackers. Safe from the hackers and protect the data. So that is the responsibility for security test engineer. So the security test engineer, for example, you can take any application for, you can take the mobile, right now. So you have to like Facebook application or whatever it may be the application. Must and should, every application security is must and should. So we need to secure your details, our personal informations, our credit card details, everything. All right. So these are all nothing but security test engineer responsibility is we need to secure the application or software or product and protect the confidential data. Only authorized and authentication persons can access those. Then database test engineer. Checking whether the application or checking whether the data is stored or retrieved from the database correctly or not. So we need to perform here CRUD operations. C for create, R for retrieve, U for update, D for delete. So CRUD operations we need to perform in database test. So checking whether the data is stored or retrieved from the database correctly or not based on your requirement. Any applications you can take. All applications will store the data. So that's why database test engineer will store the data, retrieve the data, they will update the data, they will manage the data, they will share the data, and they will delete the data as well. Only the right we have for database test engineers now. So ETL test engineer, extract transfer load test engineer. So checking or retrieving data from data warehouse, checking or retrieving the data from data warehouse and checks if data moves and changes correctly between the system or not. Correctly between the system or not. So it is also related to database only or no. So checking or retrieving the data from data warehouse and check whether the system is or data will move and changes correctly between the system or not. Means data warehouse. Data warehouse means a huge amount of data we need to store in one particular place. So that is nothing but a data warehouse. For example, you can take like showrooms like car showroom, bike showroom, or anything. So godown is different, and then showrooms is different. So godown is only one. Godown you can call it as a data warehouse. In that godown, huge amount of data or huge amount of stock will be there. But in showrooms, we have limited stock only. So data warehouse is nothing but you want to like data warehouse is nothing but the huge amount of data, large amount of data we need to store in one particular place. That is nothing but data warehouse. Database means collection of information we need to store in one particular place. This collection of databases, we can call it as a data warehouse now. Okay, so collection of databases, we can call it as a data warehouse. So our job and our course is here functional test engineer. So this is our job. As a test engineer, our job is functional test engineer. Roles is different. So roles is like trainer, junior tester, junior trainee, test engineer, software test engineer, senior software testing, different types of roles we have. Okay. So jobs is functional test engineer, performance test engineer, security test engineer, database test engineer, and ETL test engineer. Our job and our course is functional test engineer. So we need to focus more on functional test engineer only here. Okay. This is our topic too. So like software testing jobs. Then moving to topic 3. Very important. SDLC phases and its a process. Very important, ma. So we have 3 life cycles are there. Software development life cycle, software testing life cycle, and defect life cycle. So 3 life cycles we have in manual testing. Software development life cycle, software testing life cycle, and DLC, defect life cycle. Very important. Without SDLC, we can't develop any software, ma. Try to understand here. So SDLC stands for, what is SDLC? So SDLC stands for Software Development Life Cycle. Software Development Life Cycle. So SDLC, who will use this SDLC, ma? Developers. Only developers, ma? Very good answer. Only developers will use SDLC. What SDLC actually? SDLC is a process, ma. SDLC is a process used by not only the developers, not only the testers. The entire software industry will use this SDLC process, ma. SDLC is a process used by software industry, used by the entire software industry. Why they are using means to design, develop, test, and deliver a high quality product. High quality product. So SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle. SDLC is a process used by software industry. Why they are using means to design, develop, test, and deliver a high quality product. As a test engineer, what is our main motto, ma? Main purpose, main goal is very good, ma. High quality product. So when we can say whether the application is a high quality product or not. And previous class we'll discuss, right, ma? When we can say whether it is a high quality product or not, or high quality application or not. So previous class only, right, ma, we discuss when we can say it is a high quality product. Very good, ma. According to the customer requirement, if everything is working properly or not in the web application. So whether it meets the customer requirements or expectations, so whether the product or application is satisfied by the user needs or customer requirement, then we can say it is a high quality product. And bug free, ma. Application is a bug free. Bug free means if the application doesn't contain any bugs, then we can say it is a high quality product. And then within the budget and within the time, if you complete, then also we can say it is a high quality product. And whatever the application we are developed, the developed application meets the customer requirements or expectations, then also we can say it is a high quality product. And it is easy to maintainable, easy to maintainable, like easy to change or easy to manage anything in the application, then also we can say it is a high quality product. So when we delivering any application or product to the customers or clients, when we fulfilling all these parameters, then we can say it is a high quality product. So that is the main motto of using this SDLC or software testing. And SDLC is a So life cycle means from start to end. Each and every process, each and every phase will comes under this testing part. So software development life cycle from start to end. SDLC is a time efficient and cost effective process. Time efficient and cost effective process. Time efficient and cost effective means what is time efficient and cost effective? Time efficient and cost effective means what? Okay. Hmm. In time. Okay. So listen carefully, ma. So SDLC is a time efficient and cost effective process. Time efficient means it will saves time and reduce the cost. That's it. Reduce the cost. So SDLC is a time efficient and cost effective process that the development team used to design and build a high quality software. High quality software. Quality software. And then the main purpose, the main goal of using SDLC is to minimize the project risk and management. Minimize the project risk and management. That is the main goal of using this SDLC process. So SDLC is a software development lifecycle. SDLC is a process used by software industry to design, develop, test, and deliver a high quality product. So SDLC is a time efficient and cost effective process that the development team used to design and build a high quality software. Main goal is to minimize the project risk and management. Very, very important. SDLC phases. SDLC phases. So we have 6 phases in SDLC. 6 phases in SDLC. The first phase is requirement gathering and analysis. Requirement gathering and analysis. Requirement gathering and analysis. Then design. Second one is design. Then development or coding or implementation. Then testing. This is our phase. Testing. Then deployment. Nothing but delivery. And then finally support or maintenance. Support or maintenance. See, SDLC, we have 6 phases in SDLC. So if you consider requirement gathering and analysis is one phase, then we'll get 6 phases. In case if you like consider like requirement gathering is one phase and analysis is one phase, then we'll get 7 phases in SDLC. So we have 6 phases in SDLC: requirement gathering and analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance. If one phase is completed, then only we can go to the second phase. If first phase is not completed, then we didn't enter into the second phase, designing phase. Design is completed, then only we can start development. Development is completed, then only we start testing. Testing is completed, then only we can deliver that application into the market. So then finally support or maintenance. So the first phase output is input to the second phase. Second phase output is input to the third phase. So third phase output is input to the fourth phase. Fourth phase output is input to the fifth phase. If any one phase is failure, the remaining steps are not proceed. So it will not proceed the further steps. So main important thing here, we have 6 phases in SDLC: requirement gathering and analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance. Let's see how many members are involved for each and every phase now. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. So in case if the requirement, any issue in the requirement, again the BA will go to the customer's place and they will collect all the requirements properly. Yeah, yes, ma'am. So the SDLC phases. SDLC phases. Let's see what the phases we have in SD. So the first phase is requirement gathering and analysis. So requirement gathering and analysis. Requirement gathering and analysis. Then design, development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance. Support or maintenance. So let's see each and every phase how many members are involved. So the first phase is requirement gathering and analysis phase. Then designing phase. Then development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance. So in requirement gathering and analysis, so how many members are involved? Means product owner, project manager, CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and then BA, Business Analyst. So these people will involve in requirement gathering and analysis phase. So requirement gathering and analysis phase. So product owner, project manager, CTO, Chief Technology Officer, BA, Business Analyst. So then designing phase. So designing phase ma system architects, UX or UI designers. So user experience and user interface designers will involve in this designing phase. Next, development. Front-end developers and back-end developers will involve in this development phase. So front-end developers, back-end developers. Will involve in development phase. Then testing phase now. So this is our phase. Solution architects, solution architects, and then QA engineers, testers, DevOps, development and operating. These people will involve in this testing phase. Deployment, DevOps and data administrators will involve. Data administrators will involve in this deployment phase. Support or maintenance, users, testers, and support managers will involve in this support or maintenance phase. So we have 6 phases in SDLC. So requirement gathering and analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance. So our phase is here testing phase. Okay, so these people will involve in this SDLC. Software development lifecycle phases are requirement gathering and analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, support or maintenance now. So requirement, briefly I am giving the explanation here, requirement gathering and analysis. So here the business analyst will go to the customer's place and he will collect all the requirements from the customer and he will prepare one document. The document is called as BRS document. So tomorrow session we'll see theoretically, so everything, each and every phase in detail, just try to understand what each phase will be going. So in requirement gathering and analysis, this is the first phase and most important phase in SDLC. Because without requirements, we cannot develop any software or any application or any project. So that's why requirement gathering and analysis is the first and most important phase in SDLC. In this phase, business analyst, BA, business analyst will go to the customer's place and he will collect all the requirements, all the business needs, all the customer requirements. He will collect all the requirements from the customer and he will prepare one document. The document is called as BRS document, means business requirement specification document, BRS document. Business requirement specification document. After collecting all the requirements, the business analyst will create this document. Then they will study that document. The study is nothing but feasibility study. In this feasibility study, a team of high-level people will sit together and they will decide whether the project is technically doable or not. On the basis of some factors, they will decide. Like HR team will decide whether all resources are available or not related to the project. And then finance team will verify whether the project is profitable or not. They will verify. Then project manager or architect level, they will decide, they will check whether the project is technically doable or not. So they will verify all these things. If technically it is okay, if all the resources are available and it is profitable, the project is profitable, then it will be moving into the designing phase. In this designing phase, so system architect, UX, UI designers will involve. In this designing phase, so the designers will involve. Design is nothing but it is just a blueprint of the application. It is nothing but a blueprint of the application. For example, if you want to construct any house, what you have to do? So first you need to design. First you need to design it. House design, right? Construction. For example, where is hall, where is kitchen, where is everything you need to map. We need first a template. Design is nothing but it is just a blueprint of the application, or we can call it as a template. So once the designing is completed, then it will be moving into development phase. So based on the designing only, the developers will develop the application. So they will write some coding. They will choose one programming language. According to that programming language, the developers will develop the application. Once the application is developed, then it will be moving into the testing phase. So then the test engineers will start testing the application. At the time of testing the application, if test engineer may identify any defects in the application, so we need to hand it over or report the defect to the developer. So developer will fix and again give it back to the test engineer. That is done by the testing here. Once the application is stable or the application doesn't contain any bugs or it is a stable application, then the final stable application can be moved from company environment to client environment. It is nothing but a deployment. So we need to deliver the entire software or the entire system to the market or clients. So once the application is deployed into the client's environment, then the customers will start using the application. At the time of using the application, if the user may face any issues in the application or any queries in the application or any enhancements in the application, then they will reach out with support or maintenance team. So again, this support or maintenance, so some companies will charge 100% of the maintenance cost to fix the defect. Some companies will charge 50% of the maintenance cost to fix the defect. Some companies will not charge single penny to the customer to fix the defect. So these are the 6 phases we have in SDLC. So we'll see each and every phase clearly on tomorrow's session. So as of now, everyone is clear, right, ma? Manual testing types, white box testing, black box testing, gray box testing, software testing types, SDLC and its phases. So tomorrow we'll see each and every phase in clear and as well as process of SDLC. Okay. So clear, right, ma, as of now? Any queries, guys? So because we start today for this SDLC phases, it is not completed, ma. So that's why we need to start this freshly on tomorrow session. Okay. Any queries, ma, as of now, whatever we discussed so far? So if you have any queries, we may continue with your queries, ma. So if you don't have any queries, we may leave the class. All the online students, any queries, ma? If no, you may leave the class. We'll wrap up the call from today. So, okay, guys, we'll wrap up the call from today. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. And tomorrow onwards, I will share you the notes. Okay, whatever we discuss in that.